Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about growing an athlete. So this will mean the base of an athlete, so talking about when they first start sport, what good practices are, as they get a little older, and then when they start to hit puberty, and then things start to change as far as other kids getting really big and your kid might not be getting so big, or you yourself as an athlete are getting outgrown by the big guys, and what you can do to actually prepare yourself for that to a point where you go and compete professionally. So as a kid, and you're getting your kid, or you're starting off in sport, a lot of people will talk about a good starting base being gymnastics. And gymnastics is an awesome starting point because it promotes flexibility and strength, coordination, just your general perception is great. Another really good one is athletics. Athletics is awesome. You get, if you are going the broader spectrum and you're not just going to do sprinting, you will learn how to throw, jump, run. And honestly, like, if you are strong, flexible, mobile, and you have good coordination and good spatial awareness from gymnastics, and then you have great ability to throw, run, jump, and everything else that comes along with learning those things and actually something that is really underlooked is your coachability as an athlete, your ability to be coached. If you improve your ability to be coached, if you've got all those things from all those from those sports, then going into any other sport is like, you are going to be well prepared, and I would almost say that you'd have an unfair advantage over a lot of other kids who have just specialized too early. And one of my favorite coaches, he'd always talk about, he'd always be talking about let them play, which just means let them play multiple different sports that promote different things. Over specializing kids too early in sport, it really, they might be really good at the sport and they should be playing the sport, but only letting them play that one sport can really just get them bored in the long term. Whereas if they start off and they play all these different sports, and they might find they've got gifts and talents in other sports as well, which would be really exciting, or they just get more abilities, just like the abilities you get from gymnastics and athletics, that will transfer into the attributes that you can get from other sports will transfer into other sports, like the main sport you might want your kid playing, or the main sport you want to play. And say this will be any time between, so you really want to be broadening the amount of exercises you're going to be doing, as the amount of sports you're going to be doing, especially between the ages of when you first start playing and playing sport to around puberty, so around 13, 14, 15-ish kind of years old. And then I think it's really smart to kind of start to narrow down on the sports you want to play. You might play one or two different sports, but as you get older, like 18, 19, 20, then you really want to be picking one sport then, because you are spending too much time worrying about too many different disciplines when you really want to start specializing at that point. The biggest thing is, and my favorite coach is always saying let them play, is because kids are specialized way too early, and if we can, and they're missing out quite a lot. One, if they're lucky if they don't get burnt out, and if they don't get burnt out, they're going to be more plagued with injuries because their bodies aren't as well prepared as other kids that are doing other sports. And just in general, I think it's just good for kids to have just those other options and that sort of freedom. The other thing, where we want to go from there, say they start to reach puberty and they've tried multiple different sports. They got really good physical preparedness, so that just means their body and they're physically prepared for most anything. Is then to go into some strength and conditioning training would be ideal. So what this would do is anything that their body hasn't been developed while playing sport can be found. And what I mean by that, if something hasn't been developed, it'd be something like they've got muscular imbalance because the sport, for whatever reason, didn't develop the strength of your quads or the strength of your shoulders or something, for whatever reason. And then another kid, it may have developed those muscles just fine, and for whatever reason. Now, what we need to do is we can find out where they're weak in all these different muscle groups, where they're lagging, and then correct that. And the really cool thing about that is, as I suppose I always say, is the thing that will leave you behind as far as developing as an athlete is your weakness. And then, so really a key thing in strength conditioning is finding the weakness, improving that, and then let that athlete sort of flourish. That's probably the number one thing, and then number 2, 3, 4, whatever is kind of more along the lines of performance. Yeah, so that's pretty much where you'd be going to. So what we do is we start with, so we've gotten from gymnastics, athletics, and multiple different sports as you're younger. Then as you start to reach puberty, you might start to narrow your sporting down a little bit to maybe 1 or 2, and then you also want to start sort of strength and conditioning at that point, because what can actually really be helpful is as you're getting up, kids are getting a lot bigger, and you're maybe not maturing as fast, and you've still got to be able to handle tackling or running against or whatever these other bigger kids have developed a lot earlier. And we can help that. We can help your ability to absorb getting hit by these bigger guys. We can make you stronger, help you tackle those bigger guys, but ultimately you just gotta wait for you to get just as big as those guys, maybe even bigger, you know, and that will happen, and that's just how it is. But then after that point, you want to start narrowing down. So this is when you're starting to get to around 16, 17, 18. You really want to start narrowing down, especially maybe even a little bit earlier, honestly, and you start narrowing down to one sport, and then but when I mean one sport, I mean you specialize in that one sport. You might dabble in other stuff, like you should, in my opinion. Like if you're doing football, you should play some basketball on the side with your mates and have some fun. So I think that's really important. I think it improves your athletic ability more than say playing football will, because football is a very one-dimensional sport. You're running forward, sideways, you know, 45 degrees, whatever. But it's a very one-dimensional kind of sport. It's whereas basketball, for example, one, you're doing it for fun, which is great. It keeps life interesting. 2, it also develops other abilities to sort of work around. So your ability to throw, your ability to be agile and express yourself in a different way. It can really help those skills. If you can carry those skills over to football or soccer or whatever, you'll be actually very surprised on how much of an X factor you can actually become when you give yourself the permission to try crazy stuff. So we're 18, and then what we're going to do is we're still doing strength and conditioning because that's really important, and then we've chosen on one sport that's going to keep us, that we're really aiming to do extremely well in, and strength and conditioning is going to keep us healthy and help us improve our performance as we go. And then we're going to start working, looking at approaching bigger clubs and starting to make bigger teams and that sort of thing. And this, if you're following that sort of route, you'll have an athlete that is going to be healthy, and they're going to be strong, they're going to be fast as they can be, they're going to be as agile, or they're going to be as flexible. They're going to have very little chance of injury in comparison to other kids that all they do is play the sport but never are prepared to actually do it. So there's a lot of underlying injuries, and they could potentially be an amazing athlete, but that weakness is really holding them back. So this is how I would go about putting a kid through sport. And it doesn't matter if you haven't followed that to the T kind of thing, and if you've gotten this far, and it just, to me, that would be maybe the optimal way of going about it. And if you have, that's awesome too. I think you would see the benefit of what all that has done for you. So yeah, if you have any more questions on how you'd go about improving yourself as an athlete, drop me a text, or DM us or wherever, and I'll definitely help you. Bye.